We'll cut the blouse first. We'll cut it with the largest circumference of the body. For instance, if the bust circumference is 34, the waist is 30 and hip is 40. That means the largest circumference of the body is 40 and you divide it by 4. My client's largest body circumference divided by 4 is 13. 1 inch sewing allowance included. That means I'll cut the blouse using 13 inches. The neck width is 4 inches and the depth is 4 inches. Next, I'll mark the 13 inches measurement. I'll mark it all the way to the hemline. I'll cut the neckline and the side. The next thing I'll do is to mark the armhole measurements. I'm using 11 inches, sewing allowance included. Then I'll make a notch there. I'll cover the neckline with strip of fabric. Moving on to the skirt. This is the waistline, the starting line, and this is the full length of the skirt. On the waistline, mark the waist circumference divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. This skirt doesn't need that. Next, you mark the hip line. On the hip line, you mark the hip circumference divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. Connect the 2 points with a curve like this. The line shouldn't be straight. Whatever you marked on the hip line, you mark it on the hemline. If you want the skirt to be fitted, remove 1.5 inches from whatever you marked on the hip line and mark it on the hemline. Cut. Place it on another fabric like this. This is 1 inch zip allowance. On the waistline, measure 1 inch like this. Mark the hip line measurements, that's from the waist to the hip. Connect the points like this. Replace the 1 inch zip allowance. From this point, mark the waist circumference measurement. You cut. This is the front part. I've cut the line in two. The lining stopped 1.5 inches above the lace. I notched the midpoint. Measure half inch like this and connect it with your ruler. Cut off that part. I'll do the same on the lace fabric. This is it after cutting. Next, I'll sew the sides so that the lace and the lining will be together. You can either sew or laminate. This is the back piece, the back lining. I also make sure the lining is 1.5 inches shorter than the lace. Sew the two sides. Moving on to the sleeve, put your fabric on fold like this. The length of the sleeve is 8 inches. There are two ways to determine the length of a sleeve. The first one is you place your tape on the middle of the shoulder and measure to where you want the length of the sleeve to stop. That's method number one. Method number two, you get your shoulder measurements and your sleeve measurements. That's the method I'm going to use for this. My client's shoulder measurement is 15. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. The length of her sleeve is 13 inches plus zero point 0.5 joining allowance. 7.5 shoulder measurements plus 13 inches sleeve length and half inch joining allowance. That gives 21 inches. Remember, I cut the blouse with 13 inches. 21 inches minus the 13 inches is 8 inches. Same allowance included. So the sleeve length is 8 inches. Remember, the armhole length I cut on the blouse is 11 inches. I'm cutting 12 inches here. After joining, I'll trim off the excess. Cut. This is the sleeve. This is how you attach it to the blouse. You notch the midpoint on the sleeve and the blouse and bring them together like this. Pin and sew. It should look like this when you're done sewing. Remember to sew the two sides. Cover the neckline with strip of fabric or bias. I also joined the shoulder. This is the back. It doesn't have a slit because the skirt is free. If you're making yours to be fitted, adding slit is necessary for easy movement. This is the front. Measure 3 inches downwards. From that 3 inches, measure 12 inches. That will be the length of the drape. I'll use this to drape. You choose your preferred length and the width I'm working with is times 2 of 12. That's 24 inches. I folded this side and stitched it because to be visible. I also did the same on the top part, which will also be visible. Place the material on the skirt like this. The plait will start from the 3 inches below the waistline to the 12 inches. Place it like this. Pin it and start pleating. The plait can either face upwards or downwards. After pleating, you sew. I'm done pleating and I also stitched it. Arrange the drape. Make sure it sits properly on the skirt. Put the front and the back together and sew the two sides. Then on this other side, measure 3 inches. That's where the drape will stop. Bring the drape together like this. Take it to your machine and sew. I'm done sewing. I also attach the waistband. I decided to sew this for the blouse. It's not necessary. My clients requested for it. If you enjoy watching this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Leave your questions in the comment section and I'll see you in my next one. Have a good one. Bye.